Okay, so here are some of the new assembly features in 2012. Let's just start with opening this assembly. If you've moved some files or received part of an assembly from a client, SolidWorks would need to know where each missing file was. This new release saves you time by adding the locations you select to the reference search. This means that other files that reside elsewhere can be found without manual work. When working with designs of multiple sizes, it can be frustrating if you need to edit dimensions of a configuration that is not the last saved active one. 2012 allows you to edit any dimension independent of the active configuration, no longer requiring the user to open the part and change to the active config. Here I'm going to change the active configuration to 400mm, but this causes no problem when going back to the assembly to make changes to the 200mm version. Here, making a change from 41 to 55mm is easy with no warnings or workarounds needed. In moving the assembly components and investigating the assembly structure, you can see that this cylinder is a part of a flexible subassembly. In previous versions of SolidWorks, you can only edit a part if the subassembly was rigid. Now you can edit any component that is a part of a flexible subassembly without limitation, allowing for a quicker and more intuitive design change. SmartMate technology in SolidWorks rapidly speeds up the creation of common mate relationships, and by simply holding down the Alt key allows you to create assemblies in no time at all. In the new SolidWorks, a slight time delay has made the tool more predictable, like that. This just means that the parts don't flip around when you're moving around the assembly. Also, if you forget to hold down the Alt key before selecting the part, it's not a problem. You can now invoke SmartMate technology by holding down the Alt key at any time. If I just take a look at this rear plate now, I might want to open it and make a design change, in this case adding a cutout to reduce weight. However, it's quite possible that then you decide that you no longer want to keep that change and want to go back to the assembly without saving the design. New in SolidWorks is the option to close and not keep the changes in the open assembly. This just means that you no longer have to reload the component to remove the changes. Good assembly management is key to working with designs in an efficient way. Previously, if you wanted to add a folder and organize the assembly tree, all components or mates you added to a folder had to be sequential. In SolidWorks 2012, it gives you the control and allows you to group any components or mates in folders without having to worry about their place in the assembly tree. Creation of sub-assemblies has now been made easier too. Selecting parts graphically now allows for sub-assembly creation, making it much easier to group parts together and form logical assembly groups. Now, you may have noticed how fast I've been able to hide and show components over the last few minutes. This is the new Tab to Hide tool in 2012. Taking the much valued idea from 3D Composer, you can just now simply hide a component by pressing Tab or bring it back with Shift Tab. Holding down Tab and moving your mouse over the parts you want to hide. Working with assemblies has never been easier and more intuitive than in SolidWorks 2012.